It Chapter 3 isn't in development yet, but director thinks there's enough mythology for another film. All right, so yeah, it's a very fast-paced world we live in. I think we all know that. It reflects on everything, including our entertainment. So, with It Chapter 3 not being in theaters until this coming week, this weekend rather, we're already talking about the possibility for an It Chapter 3. Now, you know, I don't think this is really out of left field or anything. That first It film, the new one, it broke records. It's like the most successful horror film of all time now in terms of box office return. This second entry is going to do fantastic as well. So I'm not shocked. You know, the dollar signs always speak louder than anything else in entertainment. But our director here for this It series is already planning for a third. He thinks there's enough mythology for a third film. Now, I'll say this. I may not be the biggest fan of the new incarnation of this franchise. I don't despise it. I think there's a lot of room for it to grow and expand and improve, quite frankly, when it comes to certain aspects. But it's working, and if it's working, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it type thing. So whatever, you know, fuck me. Where's the general public stand on this? So yeah, there's definitely enough mythology for another Pennywise film. There's enough for several, if you want my opinion. But let's jump into the article here. It says, unlike The Hobbit or the final Hunger Games book, Stephen King's 1986 novel It was actually long enough that splitting it into two movies was totally warranted. But according to the director, King's book hits at a backstory, or hints rather, at a backstory for Pennywise the Dancing Clown, which could potentially be mined for a third film should the opportunity arise. So basically we get a little quick rundown of what It Chapter 2 is going to be about. And at the very end here, it says the sequel is a creepy, powerful conclusion to the loser story, and it doesn't leave any room for a third movie, at least not one that involves these particular protagonists. So in a recent interview, and I hope I'm saying this director's name right, Andy Muschietti, I'm assuming, implies that there's enough Pennywise-centric material to fill out a possible third film. And it does say there are some light spoilers for It Chapter 2 ahead. If I see anything like that, I'll skip over it. But there's a quote here. It says, there is a whole mythology to the book. Mythology is something that always has opportunities to explore. It, a.k.a. Pennywise, has been on Earth for millions of years. He's been in contact with humans for hundreds of years, every 27 years. So you can imagine the amount of material. It's always exciting to think of eventually exploring this mythology. It's very exciting. But for now, there's nothing on the table. So that's your direct quote from Andy here, the director of It. I believe both chapters, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, you know, looking at this, like I said earlier, there is, believe me, more than enough mythology, more than enough source material, even if it's just, you know, a nugget, a seed, so to speak, to be able to grow something totally new here that we've never seen before. You know, just having it set up the way they have it set up, the character itself, to the point to where it's very similar to the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers. You know, there's this hibernation period, and they're back again, and you don't know how long they've been around. You know, they've been around hundreds of thousands or millions of years. They're these ancient creatures that we really fully don't understand all of their motive and their origins, and they make for very interesting characters. And since we're talking Pennywise specifically here, one of, if not the most interesting clown antagonist in horror, and there are plenty of them out there for those who may have scoffed at that statement. But, you know, for me, I would definitely say there is more than enough mythology, more than enough source material, more than enough to continue to do this. The question is, at what point do you just admit, you know, we're milking this cash cow? Because it kind of seems to me like what they're saying here with putting this out on the table and then saying, well, you know, nothing's on the table yet. It seems to me like they're really going to try to read It Chapter 2's box office. And if it does anywhere near what the original did, then, yeah, most definitely, there's going to be an It Chapter 3. They're going to sign Bill Skarsgård, and they're going to bring in a new cast, and they're going to tell a new story. You know, whether that be a prequel, a sequel, you know, whatever. There's source material for it. There's the mythology for it. And if there's money to be made, you best believe it's going to be made. Become a patron of the channel at the Patreon link below. You can make a one-time or a monthly contribution. Simply select a tier of $1, $5, or $10 and unlock the perks that come with your tier of choice. Perks range from early access of videos to your name in the credits listed as a producer.